All right, and welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. Holy cow, if you thought Wild Card Weekend was crazy, I have news for you. Divisional Weekend did not disappoint. I got my boys in studio here with me, Spike on one mic, Anthony on the next one. Anthony got a little Viva Las Vegas thing going on with the hair. What's up, brother?
Not much. Just changing it up.
Spikey, the Patriots move on, man.
Yeah, that was a good one, but really my focus has been on trying to get Pittsburgh the expansion National Women's Hockey League team. They're really making a push. They're hosting the All-Star game this year, so, that's where my focus has been all week.
All right, Spike. Well, you know what? Without further ado, since he said that, you are now on the clock. Make your pitch to the expansion team committee.
So the CWHL in Canada clearly isn't doing as well as it should. The NWHL is, and it's got not only just fantastic players, but it also has Olympic players. They're willing to send their players to the Olympics, which the NHL isn't.
Okay.
And now that the game is growing, they've seen attendance growth the last 3 years that they've been around. There is no reason not to put a team in Pittsburgh. They're willing, they're able, they have the arena, they can put it there. They have the All-Star game there this year, and they did last year as well. So this is the time to do it. I say bring that fifth team into the league.
Well, there you go. There you have it. That's about as confident as I could see for a pitch man for National Women's Hockey League. That the NWHL stands for?
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was like ninjas with hockey
logos.
What is it? Straight out of Compton, but straight out of Pittsburgh.
There you go.
I don't know.
Hey, let them fight for the Isabel Cup. That's the way it goes.
There you go. There's no basketball there, so if you're looking for a big four, it's NWHL right there.
They need it.
So, let's talk about. Let's rearrange the letters. We'll keep the N, we'll keep the L, we'll put the F in the middle, and we'll talk about Divisional Weekend.
It was a wild one for sure.
Oh my goodness, dude! I'm pretty proud. I don't know what Spike was thinking, because we talked about it on Monday with the Falcons and being a lead and being the favorite, and you and I talked about it. We had it right, Knuckles, on that one with the Philly money line. So I'll take the cha-ching in that. Personally, if you read my divisional recap or my divisional preview, we went 3-0-1 if you tailed. So if you tailed, you made some money. Cha-ching, cha-ching. But we're going to dive into these divisional recaps, and I think every single game, to be honest with you, had a lot of excitement, a lot of action. Some in different spots than others. Falcons-Eagles was a lull game, kind of. It was not a lot of action and excitement, but that last drive, they're driving down. Matt Ryan has a chance to win the game. Julio lets that slip through his hands. Whether you believe he was going to land inbounds or not, the fact of the matter is all these games were virtually close at one point, with the exception of the Pats game, obviously. But let's dive in and start with the Foles versus Ryan matchup. And I'll let you start with it. Your thoughts basically overall on this game, because the first thing that kind of took us aback was the Falcons -3 on the road against the number one seed. It's never happened before.
Yeah, it was something that we couldn't look for a trend for sure. Very back and forth kind of game. I mean, Philly missing that extra point early.
Yeah, if you look at it, that was kind of a key thing too. I mean, Philly missing the extra point, which, Foles needs every point he can get. They can't afford to really have
a miss point like that,
leaving points off the board. They can't really afford for Foles to have anything mistake-wise go wrong from anybody else. I know that doesn't sound very fair to their team, but Philly's defense is going to have to play perfect. I thought Ajayi and Blunt were going to have to combine for 160, 175 yards to control the game. They didn't do that, but I think Foles actually played far better than anybody's expected. Even me, I thought they would win the game. I called for them to win the game. He still played way better than I even expected.
Right, yeah, I think I was half right on the game, because I said that Atlanta would win, but I also said that Nick Foles wouldn't do enough to win the game, which, he didn't. He played well, don't get me wrong. 23 of 30, 246 yards. No touchdowns, but no picks. 2 fumbles, but neither of them were lost, so, you can kind of whatever. But, if I told you before the game started, if you were going to the betting window, I said Philadelphia puts up 15 points. Where's your money going? Where's your money? It's going on Atlanta.
Fair enough.
Of course it's going on Atlanta. So, yeah, I just, it is what it is. You can't score 15 points and expect to win multiple playoff games. So, let's see what they do against Minnesota. But, that's just one of those things where they needed a better offense to really make people feel confident about this game. Because like that last drive with Atlanta coming down at the end, that shouldn't have happened. If Philadelphia was a competent team, if they still had Carson Wentz, if they still had more weapons, they should have been up 30 at that point with the way that their defense was holding Atlanta down.
Right, and the thing is one thing you notice in the playoffs is, with the exception of New England, because they can consistently, do this for 20 years, there's not a lot of blowouts. There's a lot of close games. So what happens is, in this spot, even with a guy like Carson Wentz, who would have been making his first playoff start as well, you're going to have to win these ugly games. And Philadelphia kind of took the Bill Belichick approach, in my opinion. They took out what you do best, and that is running the ball with Devontae and Tevin Coleman. They each had 10 carries in the game, which is a little bit surprising to me. I don't know if that was necessarily the game plan or the way that the tempo dictated it, but to me, when you go away from the two strengths that you have behind Matt Ryan, that makes Matt Ryan's job so much easier. And I thought Matt Ryan played a decent game, but when you have to put all that emphasis on Matt Ryan, to me, and you know this because I've said it how many times now, despite his MVP last year, Matt Ryan is a B- level quarterback.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
So when you're taking the game plan away from Devontae and Tevin, who had 10 touches each and 6 touches in the receiving game, you're not utilizing your primary weapons, and that falls on Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, you're not opening up that pass. You're not opening up that protection. You're not keeping their defense on the toes. It's just not good management overall for the game, in my mind.
I mean, this is a testament to Jim Schwartz, in my opinion. I mean, you talk about him, being a head coaching candidate. He's one of your old Lions guys.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the Matt Patricia rumors here in a little bit, but he's one of your Lions guys. I mean, you talked about him being a potential head coaching candidate next year in the league. I mean, he's the one who's utilizing their strengths to shut down the strengths of Atlanta, and that's what Philly's gonna have to do. Philly wants to win the Super Bowl this year. They're gonna be doing it with games like this.
Oh, absolutely. They gotta go with the game plan and stick with it and manage the game.
And it's a complete 180 from when they had Carson Wentz, because you don't have that weapon anymore. And not to knock Nick Foles. He didn't play great. He didn't play bad. Like you said, 246, nothing and nothing.
I mean, his passing percentage was pretty good, 23 out of 30.
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
To me, what surprised me, or not really surprised me the most, but the thing about Foles that got me the most was how well he managed the game.
Right, and that's what they want him to do. That's the same thing Minnesota wants Case Keenum to do.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about getting this matchup next week. If they can only get 15 points on Atlanta's defense, Spike, I'm not sure that they can get much more on Minnesota's.
Right, and that's, we're talking about game managers. I'm trying to think, when was the last time a game manager didn't make a deep run in the playoffs? We see that quite often. When was the last time a game managing quarterback won the Super Bowl? And the last one I can think of is probably Trent Dilfer with the Ravens.
Joe Flacco's, he had an elite run. But to me, Joe Flacco's nothing more than a game manager at this stage.
No, at this stage he is, because he loves
but
that.
Even prior to that too, he made the playoffs, Joe Flacco, his first 5 years in the league, but nobody ever, they had McGahee, they had that defense, they had a good, running back system with McGahee. I want to say that was the tail end of Priest Holmes, if I'm not mistaken, or was that no? I could be wrong. Am I way out of left field?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. As soon as the Patriots are out of it, I tend to stop paying attention.
I know Willis McGahee was a big primary running back in the day of Flacco's early years. Point being is that Flacco was that kind of that guy. Hey, he's not going to win you the game, but damn it, he's not going to lose you the game. Alex Smith's been doing that for how many years now, too?
Right.
But you're right. Trent Dilfer was a we won in spite of him kind of thing. Like, he didn't do anything really to fuck us up, but he definitely didn't win us anything.
Right, and that's the point, is that you can't, games like this are ugly, and, like you said, without Carson Wentz, these are the types of games that Philadelphia has to win. if they want to make the Super Bowl, if they want to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, like, when was the last time we've really seen that succeed in the Super Bowl?
Well,
in
sure.
this era?
Long term, it's not a winning option. And they didn't expect that because Philadelphia didn't come out of the gates week one saying Nick Foles is our guy. It was Carson Wentz.
Right.
But if you look back at Chip Kelly's Nick Foles, that guy could have been the guy to take you to the Super Bowl. The 27 touchdowns, 2 pick kind of Chip Kelly or Nick Foles.
Well, if he's still capable of that, I mean, let's not forget that he's been a backup for the last however many years.
I like to believe, and ironically of all people, Skip Bayless was the one who said this. I like to believe in the NFL, if you've done something once, it doesn't mean you're going to do it again, but it means you're capable of doing it again. You know what I'm saying? In the NFL, that's always the kind of the potential. Why guys like Matt Castle keep getting a job? Because he went 11-5 one year in the NFL with the New England Patriots. Because you've done something once, people see the potential for you to be able to do that again. Is it true? No, not necessarily. But when you have a guy who went 11-5 in 2008 look how many freaking contracts Matt Flynn got.
Oh yeah.
He threw 6 touchdowns in a game once. He may not be able to do it again, but he did it once.
He did it once. That's why Derek Anderson's still in the league as the backup in Carolina.
There's a chance.
And that's why Colin Kaepernick is not, boys. So that's the thing. Colin Kaepernick can probably have a job too because he's done the things that has been proven to be a good quarterback, but he's just a media fucking headache. So anyways, my thoughts on Atlanta versus Philly. I'm walking around chest held high because I was pretty proud of that Eagles money line when everything I heard around my circles was how in the hell is Philly going to win this game? And I said, I don't know. I seem to like it. It seems like a huge trap to me. So, I'm not poo-pooing anybody, but, that was one of the, in betting, you ever have those games where you're like, everybody is just, you give your opinion.
Uh-huh.
I had that at work. I mean, a lot of people, we talk betting and whatever, and they're like, who do you like in that game? And I'm like, I like Philly to win the game straight up. And blah, 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 bullshit, you're an idiot. Yeah. Like, why do you ask me a question? And then when I give you my opinion, you shit on it. I'm like, look, you asked me my question. You asked me my opinion. I gave it to you. You don't have to take it, but I'm going to the window with it. So, I, kind of knocked chest on that one. So,
well, they could pull Jameis Winston and eat a W that they didn't get.
That was so weird. That's still weird to me when he's like putting a hooked W in his mouth. You remember that, Spike?
I do not. I don't know what you're talking about here.
It was against. I want to say it was against New Orleans. Or
I want to say it was against the Saints. Yeah.
Jameis is trying to give this pregame speech where he's like, what we're going to do today? And he puts his hand, it looked like a W, but also at the same time, ironically, looked like a crab leg. And he's like, we're going to eat a W. And he puts the W in his mouth, and all of his teammates are looking at him like,
he's a fucking crackhead.
You have to look at that if you get a chance.
Oh my God.
It's very confusing, I would say.
I don't know how I've missed that.
It's entertaining.
I don't know how you missed it. It was this year, too.
Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah, it was this year.
It was about 8 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, what we're going to do? We're going to eat a W. And Deshaun Jackson, had the best face. He's like, oh,
You smoking that crack even more?
So, anyways, but any final thoughts as we move on from the Falcons Eagles? What do you guys?
Well, if we look at Atlanta, is this the textbook Super Bowl hangover where they just can't get it done in the next year?
No, I don't buy it. I think they got beaten by a better defense. They are exactly what they were. They played above their head last year. This is exactly what they are, 9-7, 10-6 team, and they're a first, they're usually a first round exit playoff team. They got a little further. To be honest with you, I think the Super Bowl was more of an anomaly than this season.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, so.
I lean towards the same.
I told you, like I've said this about Ryan 100 times. You take out his best year, his MVP year. You take out his worst year, which is probably his rookie year without looking at his stats. He's an average quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not what he was. He's not what we think he is. He's just an average quarterback in my opinion. So the old Denny Green, he is what I thought he is. So.
Yes.
So, Titans Patriots. And this one makes me laugh because I had New England -13 the whole way. I was like, we're going to crush, or not I'm not on the team, but they're going to crush. It's going to be
playing the Titans.
Not even close. The Titans are the sexy pick after beating, Kansas City after coming back. And I said, for any comeback in the NFL to happen, you need 3 things. You need a fluke play, which Mariota to Mariota, they got it. You need a mismanagement by the other team, which Andy Reid's king of it.
It happened a few times.
And you need a couple of calls to go your way, and that questionable fumble call went their way. Well, okay, so a fluke play may happen against the Patriots. We've all seen those we've all seen those catches in the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. It's a rare occurrence. One thing happened for sure. Bill Belichick is not mismanaging a clock. I can tell you that.
Of course not.
So, the Titans didn't get their little miracle magic. They lost by 3 touchdowns. I said it'd be a 4-touchdown blowout. They got the last one at the end, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Well, if you had the 14-point teaser towards the Titans way, kind of saved you at the end, but.
Yeah, that is true. We hit the under with that one and the over because you teased the over to 32 and I teased the under to 60, so both of them hit. So that was pretty good on that one. I texted you after that first touchdown that the Titans scored because they came out of the gate. It was a 3-and-out. Titans got the ball back and they just meticulously moved the ball down the field and the Patriots didn't even know what hit them. And I texted Spike and I'm like, well, that was easy.
Like the Staples button?
Pretty much. I was like, well, he's like, I didn't see it. I'm driving. I'm like, well, I won't ruin it for you, but good God, if New England's defense plays like that, I'm just going to turn the TV off right now.
Yeah.
But they tightened the hell up and, no pun intended, and, destroyed New England. What were your, when you watched that game, kind of what were your thoughts? That was my initial thought, but obviously, Belichick and company got it done.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem with the bend don't break defense is that every once in a while a team figures out that they can, find a way behind you. They can break your coverage. They can do something that you're not expecting them to do and get put up the quick points, which is what Tennessee did. More power to them. They were able to figure it out. But even after I saw the touchdown, I finally went back and watched it after the Golden Knights game.
The hell of a catch. I mean, they were 2 Corey Davis spectacular catches away from being shut out.
Oh, yeah, and that was, actually, I never saw the last touchdown that Tennessee put up because my DVR wasn't set to record long enough, apparently. But, it was just one of those things where, New England, I don't know if they got lazy and sloppy or if Tennessee just put together the perfect drive against them, but after that, I mean, I was never worried about the game. I still, my original prediction when I talked to my father was Patriots 44-10, so wasn't too far off from that. It's just, I guess that's part of the problem of being an arrogant Patriots fan because, I grew up watching them get slaughtered in the 80s and early to mid 90s before they made that run.
My first experience with Patriots football that I can remember in my life was the 96 Super Bowl. Yes, which was a slaughter, but it was a Super Bowl.
Right.
That's where I kind of took off with it. And, my dad always talks about it. He's like, you've had it good all this time. They've been good. I'm like, but 97 and 98, they weren't good. In 2002, they had a hangover.
Yeah.
But
I wish I could say that about my team.
You can always come over to the dark side.
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna eat our comeuppance sooner rather than later. So I know it's coming. As a cynical Boston sports fan, I know it's on the horizon. It's only a matter of time, but I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody sees it 3 to 4 or 5 years in the distance, but you're just kind of holding on to the rest of that right now. You're just like the string's getting tighter and tighter, and you're just like. You can see the mortality, and Jimmy G was the slack, but now, who knows, Bill Belichick, if Tom decides to go and Bill Belichick wants to do this thing on his own, in 3 years, he could still be there. He'll be, 60, 70 years old?
I think 70, yeah. I think
as long as he's still in his right mind, I mean, you can coach till you put in the coffin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at Dick LeBeau. How old is he? About 97?
Yeah, he ages well. I think he's a vampire. I think they just put him back in his coffin when the game's over.
Belichick is 65 right now.
So he's even younger than I thought. Yeah,
I thought he was closer to 70.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the Patriots. If you look at the divisional recap or the divisional preview that I wrote, I said 31-13. So I'm pretty close on that one. I thought we win by about 3 touchdowns. So that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Dion Lewis was the X factor to me in this game. Amendola had a fantastic game. I mean, I did not see that one coming out. Gronk was usual Gronk.
About average, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you say he's about average, but I mean, 6 for 81 and a touchdown in the playoffs. That's what you need at Gronk.
That's
2 touchdowns are nice.
For Gronk.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Danny Amendola is taking over the Edelman role beautifully. And
absolutely.
Dion Lewis, James White out of the backfield. It's like status quo. It's like these guys, I mean, Belichick says, or McDaniels, he's like, this is what we do. Try and stop it. And every single, I mean, you're talking about one of the best in the game, to Dick LeBeau. You just can't stop it. And I love it. It's the same status quo, over and over again. Let's dink and dunk. Let's move you around. Let's open you up. run you in the middle, and then when we get a chance, Brandon Cooks is going to tear down the field, and we're going to go for a shot in the end zone. I think they took 2 or 3 long ball shots, but other than that, I mean, everything's within 7 to 10 yards. They're not flashy, they're not sexy. I'll tell you who earned their money is Malcolm Butler and Stephon Gilmore today. Yesterday.
Absolutely. They really stepped up because, Butler, as now the number 2 corner, he seems to be the one that the quarterbacks are targeting more and more often. And, during the year, I think he was more up and down than people realize, but he really, really came to play.
A lot of people see the pick in the Seattle game. A lot of people see 2 great defensive plays in the Atlanta game. But to be honest with you, Malcolm Butler's a just above average cornerback, in my opinion.
But he's going to get his money in the offseason.
Sure, that's fine. I understand. And we appreciate the service time, and we'll move on from that. But, anything real threatening in this game that you saw by New England that Jacksonville could expose. Obviously, Jacksonville's a far superior defense than Tennessee, but Tennessee was able to beat Jacksonville twice this year. So
they were.
So maybe Tennessee has something available that New England can kind of capitalize off of, in your opinion? I mean, obviously they don't need any extra help, but Tennessee did beat Jacksonville twice, so they know the formula.
Very true. Though granted, one of those weeks was week 17, and Jacksonville was pretty much resting a lot of people after the first half.
I could be wrong. Oh, after the first half. I could be wrong, but I think they played.
They started, yeah. But they were starting to rest people around halftime, so.
Well, they got blown out, week 2, I think it was?
Yeah.
Anyways, point being is that what I see that the New England can take away from the game that we're about to talk about is, obviously they're going to try to shut the run game down. That's what Belichick does, takes away your strength. The strength was Leonard Fournette. Mm-hmm. So now we're talking about Blake Bortles having to beat a bend but don't break defense. Well, he showed that kind of against Pittsburgh. So let's dive into Pittsburgh and Jacksonville, because that obviously was game of the weekend. I don't know if anybody objects to that.
No.
I'm not going to object to it, but
you and I had the under in that game, and we were dead wrong.
Wow. I mean, I can't blame you for trying to take the under after Jacksonville put up 10 points against Buffalo.
Well, that wasn't our window bet. That was just, we pick every game, and I said, if we had to take something, I would take the under. And I think we both were on Jacksonville in that game?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I like them plus the points for sure, and we said they could win a blowout, close game, lose a close game.
Oh, the crazy thing is I know that the score doesn't indicate it, but I thought
it was a blowout.
I thought they dominated that game.
I absolutely agree.
Their defense kind of let off the throttle a couple of times, and Antonio Brown is just unbelievable.
Oh, God.
Let's call it where it is. Antonio Brown is amazing. Leonard Fournette, I said, had to have as good a game, if not better, than the one he did in week 5, and he answered the call.
Yep.
25 for 109 and 3 touchdowns. What were your thoughts on this game? It was just hot out of the gate. I mean, before I even turned the game on, it was 14-0 Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I'll use the same analogy I used with the Philadelphia game. If I told you before the game started that Pittsburgh's putting up 42 points and Roethlisberger's going for 469 and 5 touchdowns, how is your money ever going to go on Jacksonville? This is another one of those weird games where no matter, even with the stats saying what they say, you just can't predict the outcome from the one side of it. Especially with Bortles, what was he, like 214 yards?
Yeah, 214.
With 1 touchdown out of the 6.
Yeah, with barely 50% completion rate.
14 of 26.
Yeah, so I mean, it's another one of those really strange type games. But you're right, if the Patriots are going to win, then it's got to be shut down Fournette before anything else.
Is Blake Bortles the new Alex Smith? Or is he just not there yet? I mean, he is, like you said, 14 and 26, 214, a touchdown, no picks, no sacks, a 94% rating. I mean, Alex Smith, I think, has shed that game manager mold. To me, of the 4 quarterbacks left, he fits it to the T. Because let's look at it. And I know I'm salivating at the mouth of this because you look at the 4 quarterbacks left, Spike, and I know you're with me on this. You've got Keenum, Foles, Bortles, and Brady.
Yes.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Brady has more Super Bowls than they have playoff starts.
Combined, yeah.
Combined.
That actually, I
Foles
think
has
is
one.
correct. Yeah.
Bortles has 2, which is 3, and Keenum has 1, which is 4. I think they have 4 starts, and he has 5 rings. So, advantage
right,
TB12 on that one. But I mean, to me, I feel like that weight came from Alex Smith, like the Blitz. You know, the Blitz.
Yeah.
You ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
You ever watch that show?
Nope.
No? Oh man, you gotta watch it. It's a good show.
The gentleman.
There's an episode called The Blitz, and basically whoever's the Blitz, whenever they leave a room, something excellent happens, and they've become what's kind of like the mush, the Blitz. But if you leave the room, like if I'm the Blitz and then you leave the room, you become the Blitz, and something excellent happens to us. Yeah. So I think Bortles has now become the game manager wearing the game manager jacket at this point. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he has potential to be better than Alex Smith in my mind.
Well, I'm not talking about the potential. I'm talking about today, August 14th, January 14th.
August 14th.
Today, 8 months in the future.
Yeah, I think he fits that style. Like, exactly, almost down to a T.
Because let's put it, if you had to put this game on his shoulders specifically, like if Fournette was getting shut down, this game doesn't look like this.
No, it looks like 35-14 or something.
Right. So, what happens in New England when they take down Fournette? They put 8 in the box and make it go man-to-man against Patrick Chung, Devin McCourty, Daron Harmon, Malcolm Butler, Stephon Gilmore. Logan Ryan's not there anymore. But what happens when you have to go one-on-one with those guys when 8 guys are in the box stuffing Fournette? I mean, this is Blake's test. And don't get me wrong, look, I'm a UCF guy, so I'm rooting for Blake all day. But I'm rooting for him to just do well, not win.
Yeah. Blake, I mean, if they shut down Fournette and he has to go with passes, I see him doing a whole bunch of like short screen passes or slot passes, just something to move the ball, keep the Patriots kind of protecting that short little pass as well as the deep ball every once in a while.
So you're looking for Jacksonville to kind of do what the Patriots do best.
Kind of, yeah.
That's interesting. Let's jump back into this game and let's look at the other quarterback. Ben threw for 5 touchdowns and 1 pick, but he did have a costly pick. He had a costly fumble that led to points. And they went for it on 4th down 3 separate occasions. And to me, their play calling, and this is a Haley thing, their play calling always seemed to be a little suspect. They were running weird routes and running a 4th and 1 when you have Le'Veon Bell and you have Big Ben Roethlisberger, who I believe is 250 pounds. I mean, you're telling me he can't QB sneak for 1 yard?
He might even be more than that, yeah.
You're running a fade route on 4th and 1 and you're not QB sneaking or running with one of the best running backs in the league. How long is Tomlin going to hold on to Haley at this point?
I think maybe the question is how long are the owners going to hang on to Tomlin? Because in the end, that falls on him. If he's not happy with Haley, he's going to step in and take over the play calling.
Well, Dan Rooney, and I know he's dead, but Dan Rooney was never really one to fire guys. What have they had? 6 coaches in their history?
That might be right, yeah.
But he's dead now. So maybe the kids might fire him. Maybe the kids might have a little bit quicker of a leash. The Steelers brand has never really been known for firing guys. So you're right. It may fall on Tomlin. I'm thinking the initial thing is it's going to fall on Haley because this is 3 or 4 years of disappointment. I mean, don't get me wrong. Making the AFC Championship is great for a team like Jacksonville, but it's usually status quo for a team like Pittsburgh and a team like New England. So when they don't make it now, this season feels like a colossal failure in Pittsburgh, just from what I would guess.
Well, I think part of the problem is, I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback, you're talking about the best wide receiver in the game, and you're talking about, a top 5 running back in the game. How is this team not in the AFC Championship game? Like, just how? I mean, and it goes to the coaching, and it goes, we can shit on Haley all we want, and I know a bunch of people did after they played New England in the regular season. They were really questioning the play calling, especially that fake spike at the end of the game there.
Game, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But, when we're looking at this game, it's, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me multiple times, eventually you got to fire the coach.
There's something wrong.
Well, let me look at you. This is a blind sheet, and obviously we know the score, but okay. I give you a team that scores 42 points, has 28 first downs, controls the ball for 31 minutes in the game, has 545 total yards, 462 through the air, 83 on the ground, which isn't a huge. Is a huge discrepancy. I give you 42 points in those kind of stats. I mean, I'd take you, like you said, you'd take that team all day.
Yeah, I'd say they win 98% of the time at least.
Well, I think I found the problem now that I'm looking deeper into the stat sheet. The punter only averaged 29.5 yards on his 2 different punts.
That rat bastard.
So, I know that
That's
this...
pretty weak sauce.
I know here on the hashtag Vegas Punters podcast that we love talking about this kind of thing. But yeah, that's just not good enough to get it done in this NFL.
Yeah, you can't be averaging 29 yards. You're right.
You gotta average like 30.
You know what? Haley's going to save his job for another year because that punter is going to be on the hook for it. So you're right. I do apologize. I didn't dive deeper into the actual box scores. So let's see. The punter's name is... Anybody got the...
Something Berry.
All right, something Berry.
Jordan
Berry.
Jordan Berry.
All right.
Wait, what do you got? I got 39.5 yards on the average.
I got 39.5 on mine.
I got 29.5, and I'm looking at NFL.com. It might be net. Yeah, let me look.
I got 2 punts for 79 yards. So.
I got 2 for 79.
God damn it! If you're gonna come with stats, they better be freaking correct.
Hey, look.
Especially when it comes down to punters.
We don't take our punters lightly here, sir. Brad Nortman had only a 32.8 average, and they still won the game. So I think this falls squarely on Haley if we're just being honest at this point. So
well, granted to Nortman, he had 3 inside the 20.
Well, good for him. I mean, is this, like I said, overall looking at everything, punters and all, is this a Jaguars win or a Steelers defeat more in your mind?
To me, Jags win.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jaguars win. It's just, for as much of a fight as Pittsburgh put up, Jacksonville just, had the better day of it.
They almost ran away with this game.
I even said it on Facebook. I said if this game was in Jacksonville, it would have been a blowout.
Technically it was a blowout, even though the score was only 3-point difference.
That's true.
In my mind. So.
Yes, and it was net yards for the punter.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what it was. All right.
Fair enough. Goddamn Barry. We'll cut him and get a new one.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out another punter that I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we filled our quota for punters again for this episode. So
we got one more game to talk about. So
that's all right. Put that one in the jar. We filled the quota. You're right. We have one more game to talk about, and holy shit, was that a game?
It was.
And I asked Anthony on Friday, what game are you most looking forward to? What game's the most exciting? And you nailed it right on the head.
I almost got the score right on the nose, too.
Did you?
I said 24-21 with a game-ending field goal.
Yeah, you were pretty close. It would have been the wrong side, but you were pretty close on that part. You almost nailed it.
No, I said the Saints would cover. They did cover 5.5, which was the line at the time.
At the time we were talking, it was only 5, so it was a push. I think it finished 5.5. Anyways, point being is it fell around that. I caught it at 4.5, so I actually got lucky because I'm sitting there.
The Vikes.
I did take the Vikings because I'm like, oh my god. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, well they set up at the field goal. I'm going to lose because I'm rooting for the Vikings to win because I got some Viking fans. We're having a Super Bowl party at our house. I'd really like for it to be Vikings versus Pats. So I'm rooting for that to happen in the NFL right now. So, but let's talk about this game. And it's the same to me as, well, not the same, but the second half to me was the same as the Carolina-New Orleans game. There was a lot of action. Both teams played well enough to win this game. And at different times in the fourth quarter, they were winning this game.
Yeah. If you look at the win probability according to ESPN, the last 2 minutes of the game, it's like a earthquake monitor that's recording a 8.0 magnitude earthquake. It's just boom, up and down, back and forth.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were so many changes at that point. It was crazy, but you got to feel for Drew Brees at that point. This is another year. Obviously, his defense wasn't much improved, but this is another year where he does everything in his power to put the city of New Orleans in a place to win, and his defense lets him down again. This is going on, other than 2009, this is going on, 10 years now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's you got to feel bad for the guy because not only has he been doing everything in his power to do it, but he's stayed loyal to New Orleans. This is a guy that could have said, screw it, I'm out of here. I need to play for a team with a better defense and gone and
go to Denver or something.
Go to Denver, go to Arizona back 3-4 years ago.
He might do that now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably should at this point.
He already basically said that he was staying and he's ready to do it again next year. which leads me to believe that he'll take whatever from New Orleans, but, whatever within reason. But if there's a silver lining, not really a silver lining, if there's something I took away from this game immediately, is that whoever number 43 is, he's probably our first transactional cut of the season in the NFL. What the fuck was that? That was a complete brick.
I was looking at the Saints Reddit, or the subreddit, whatever it's called. And apparently it's a rookie safety named, Maurice Williams, yeah. And apparently he had a fantastic year. People were very happy with him. It's just on that one last play, he didn't want to get there early for the interference call, so he decided to try to time it right and go for the legs, and it's just...
But, it looks like, was he seeing double? Because, he literally takes a sidestep left. I'm watching the video right now. He literally sidesteps left, completely whiffs on Diggs, and then takes out the only other guy who could have made the tackle.
Yeah. And that
seems like a setup to me.
It's the craziest play you'll ever see. And on Twitter, they were reporting that as he was leaving the field, he fell to his knees and started crying in the tunnel on the way out because he felt so bad about ruining the game for the team.
Now, I was listening to postgame, and I can see this one of two ways. One, they had two different guys on the postgame. One was Louis Riddick, and I forget the other guy's name. But basically, the other guy was saying, kids today are not learning how to tackle properly. They're only just going for that Madden hit stick kind of bullshit.
That power clutch hit kind of.
Yeah, that knock it, jar it loose kind of thing. And then Louis Riddick was saying, well, I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that defenders today, with the new rules in place, are so scared to hit somebody that you see complete whiffs like this favor the offense. But which way do you kind of lean on that?
I'm leaning towards they're more afraid to hit for target, hitting in defenseless receiver, or maybe collar tackle or something along those lines. You see them still going out hitting hard, but you don't see them.
But he completely whiffed. I listened to both of their arguments, and I'm like, I want to say it falls somewhere in the middle. I understand he didn't want to get there early for the interference, but at the same time, even if you had
make that tackle.
But even if you had an interference call right there, okay, so you have an untimed down at the the 30?
Yeah.
So he's still got a almost 50-yard field goal even if you've knocked the guy down. Mm-hmm. They're going to get the ball to 30 with no time left. They're going to try a field goal. It's a lot better than a complete air ball, in my opinion.
Yeah, his name was Marcus Williams.
Marcus Williams.
I was close.
No, I think you said that.
I said Maurice and then maybe Marcus, but yeah. I knew it was Williams.
We'll go with that.
But, what are your thoughts? We've watched the game for 20-plus years now. This game used to thrive and make money off of those devastating collisions, and now you see something like this. It's almost, to me, very embarrassing, yeah.
Yeah, and that was just, you're right, it was a complete whiff. And I agree with the other one here that yeah, whatever.
I agree with Elvis here.
Yeah, the guy on my your left, my right.
The guy sitting on your left thigh.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't have enough chairs. This.
I'm just being an asshole. I'm sorry.
No,
I think it's right.
Okay. I know exactly what you did. You forgot his name for a second because I did this with fucking Hito Turkoglu. Don't get me wrong. I was working in Orlando. I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but I was doing it in Orlando. I was working on Fox Sports post game, and I'm like, here we are with the star of the game. I freaking forgot his name, and he'd been playing there for years. And you just have those. I know you forgot his name.
Yeah.
It's funny. And I was like, you've been covering the team for 2 years, and you're like, the star of the game, you had the game-winning 3. Motherfucker! I forgot his name. So anyways, go ahead. I know the feeling.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of this, ever-shrinking hit zone that the NFL has on receivers, plus the propensity for refs to just throw that flag whenever they feel that it's a pass interference call. I think he was just worried about making the wrong play, the rookie making the wrong play, and in his caution, he made the complete wrong play, because let's not forget, you're right. If he gets flagged, then it's an untimed down. If he hits the guy and the ball gets knocked loose, then maybe there's still another second for another Hail Mary try. But the reality is, more often than not, he tackles the guy inbounds. Minnesota doesn't have a timeout. That's game over.
even if he tackles him out of bounds, you still have a very long field goal attempt. And let's face it, let's be frank. Minnesota is not good at playoff field goal attempts.
Yep.
Look at 1999.
Look at Blair Walsh. He had an extra point that he just stoinked. So, I mean, I'm just saying, anything is possible. Even if you commit a personal foul or a pass interference penalty there, anything is possible. Anything is better than what he did.
Yes. No, you're
so
absolutely
that's
right.
where I kind of come to it. It's like anything you could have done, short of decapitating a guy, and even that you would have just gotten an extra 15 yards and whatever. But anything is better than what you accomplished.
Yeah, that's if we want to use a fencing metaphor, he was playing foil, and he should have been going for the épée. The hit zones are bigger in épée. That's nobody was offensive. Oh, Jesus Christ!
All I know is unguard. And I don't even think I learned that from fencing. I think I just learned that from.
God damn it!
I think I learned that from Mortal Kombat or something. Finish him. Speaking of the Bortles combat shirts are coming out again. We had those in college after they beat Baylor when Blake was the quarterback. It was Baylor was what was the green guy in Mortal Kombat? Was it Reptile? Did anybody play Mortal Kombat when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, yeah, but that was...
I think the green one was Reptile, and Blake Bortles was like Liu Kang, and they put we superimposed his face on like Liu Kang, and it was like finish him. Are we looking this up, really?
Yes.
Okay, so don't worry, I'll wait. This is riveting podcast talk. Anyways, you were right, Anthony. It was the game of the day, and it ended up having all of its excitement wrapped up into one 15-minute period, which was crazy.
I'm going.
Even though I directed that to Anthony, he's still trying to. I know it's Reptile. I'm already aware of it's Reptile.
Yeah, no, he's on actually like a.
He's
on a Mortal Kombat like
fan page,
like wiki basically. I mean, he's got everything going on here.
I knew it was Reptile the minute I said it.
Yeah, no, it's been too long since I've played.
So, anyways, all the action packed excitement, Anthony, was rolled up into one 15-minute period. And go.
It's pretty much wrapped on one play. And
well, yeah, that was the culmination of it.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Like, I didn't see it live. I mean, I saw the game live, but what I'm saying is, I was cooking dinner, and when I saw Keenum's pass float, I saw Diggs catch it, but I'm like, he's gonna just pop his feet in and jump and fly out of bounds. Yeah. He'll get the 1 second. So I turned back around. I'm like waiting, expecting a field goal, and all of a sudden I just hear the skull. Oh my god! And I turn around. I'm like, what the hell happened? And I couldn't believe it. And then I'm like, it was unbelievable. I was more excited for that game, than I was for the New England game. Obviously that was a different story, but I mean, it was just like, obviously I covered my bet. Everything came in. I had the under in this game, which unfortunately didn't come in, but I'm okay with it because I didn't bet the under because I don't bet totals. But the 4.5 came in. It was crazy. So,
well, the 4.5 came in for you, but for everybody else, it was 5.5.
Well, that was the other thing in Vegas.
Right, and that's the thing that really screwed everybody up is that it was, they go up 5 on that last second touchdown, and then it's, all right, you got to kick the extra point, but...
Well, then the Saints weren't even on the field.
Right, game over. I think even the announcers said it was the most anticlimactic play in NFL history.
Well, the Neil was. Yeah, of course, after succeeding the most climactic play in NFL history, absolutely.
But it was just
That's
crazy.
Just Joe Buck being a dick.
Yeah, I know. But it's still, you look at that and, I in my mind, I'm always wondering if players are aware of the Vegas lines and if the betting is going on. Whether or not they're doing it themselves, that's another entire topic. But, just whether or not they're aware of how their actions have affected the line and just taking a knee there as opposed to kicking it.
Well, who said it this week? There was somebody on one of the NFL games this week where the one of the defensive linemen for one of the teams said, he was like, we're aware of the line. I want to say it was Philly. I want to say Philly, one of the guys for Philly was basically interviewed, and he said, we're aware that we're dogs at home, and we're not happy about it.
Well, I mean, that kind of thing where they're,
he's like, I'm aware of the number. I think I want to say he said something about we're aware of the number, or we're aware that we're 3-point dogs. He said something.
I mean, for that kind of thing, for bulletin board material, that makes a lot of sense. But, for this kind of a game, I wonder if, if the Vikings are like, all right, the line was 5.5, we're up 5. Do we kick it and go for that? Or if,
in the moment, I think they probably forgot, but I think starting a game, they're probably aware of what it is. Don't let it fool you. Just like a guy who comes on the podium and says, I don't read what you guys write, speaking to the media. horseshit.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They read.
The only one I believe when he says that he doesn't read what the media says is Belichick.
Yeah, well, because he's not on Snap-Faced and Insta farts and all that stuff. And what did he say? I'm not on Insta Chat and Snap boards and I don't know, whatever.
Like my face or whatever.
My face. Let's look at the opening lines for championship weekend just briefly. We'll talk about it more when it gets closer to the game. Jacksonville and New England is open up consensus at 9.5. That is an interesting total, in my opinion. My initial thoughts are, Jacksonville off a thrilling victory, New England off of a comfortable win. I like Jacksonville. I think it's going to get up to double digits. I'm going to wait, but I like Jacksonville with the 9.5 right now. Just immediate reaction.
And this is the tough part about being a Patriots fan again, is that I never know if the thoughts that are coming to me are coming from my heart or my head, but
just immediate reaction.
Yeah, I mean, first thought was, Patriots are going to walk over this game just like they have the last couple of years in the playoffs, and this, this should feel like a trap game, but it doesn't. If you look up Tom Brady, whenever he's played against even like number 1 ranked defenses, he just shreds them. Doesn't give a shit. He'll just go in there and put up as many points as he wants and have his way with these guys. I like New England. I'll take basically anything up to minus like 12.5.
Oh yeah, I'm leaning towards Jacksonville as well. I like them at 9.5 right now, and I predict it will probably go up to double digits, like you were saying. Back to that Eagles. That was Lane Johnson, the right tackle.
Oh, so it was a defensive tackle or offensive tackle? Excuse me. Yeah, I knew somebody was talking about that.
But Chris Long, they were kind of talking about it together, and they're the ones that actually bought the dog mask to were at then in the game.
Oh, was that the point of the dog mask? Oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. Good to know, because I was wondering, those look really weird.
Yeah.
But there you go. So I knew players are aware of the spreads. They're not. Don't let them fool you. They're aware of the spreads. They're aware of what the media talks about. But 9.5, Jacksonville and New England.
Yeah, so like Jacksonville.
Oh, I missed that part. Okay. All right, my bad.
Hey, way to pay attention. I forgot his name. You're not even fucking listening to him.
Yeah. You could just put any. You could put anybody in this chair. We got Elvis over here. Thank you very much. You do your Belichick impression. We're going to be on the Jacksonville. We're going to take away Fournette.
We're going to Jacksonville this week.
We're going to make sure Fournette gets less than 50 yards, and we're going to post it to Snapface, and we're going to make Blake Bortles beat us. Doug Marrone. I used to feed that guy cereal when I babysat him. He's a good guy. How's that? Is that getting good?
Yeah.
It sounded right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Looking forward to this lacrosse game this week.
And I got to check my Instafart. If you don't know, the National Women's Hockey League is potentially getting a 5th team. There's been a lot of talk that the National Women's Hockey League is going to host the All-Star game in Pittsburgh, and
I might be the coach of that or something.
So, anyways,
he probably could.
He could probably coach that too.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Philadelphia. Again, Philadelphia is a dog. So they're going to bring out the masks again, or is Minnesota going to cover the 3.5?
3.5 consensus. Give me the dogs again. Yeah.
Was that good? No? I should stop that.
Oh, wow.
That's a tough one again, because I think everybody now, the public is immediately going to reverse course, and the squares, which we are the squares are going to go back onto Philadelphia, because for as much as everybody was on the favorite against Philadelphia, I really believe that the squares are immediately going to reverse course in this spot. So that's what scares me in this game. Because I think Minnesota is a complete team. I don't think the Falcons were, in my opinion. I don't disrespect the Dogs' pick, but I think Minnesota is going to be the first team to host a Super Bowl at home, and I think they're going to cover 3.5.
I'm with you on that, and I think I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. Minnesota is the most complete team left in these playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me at all if they roll on this one. So I'll take Minnesota minus whatever.
Minus whatever.
Yeah, minus whatever. I'll tease it to like minus 21. I don't care.
No, I actually like Philly at home. It's a dome team playing outside. I actually like the under in this game.
Yeah, the under's 38. I hate totals. For a person who bets pretty frequently as I do, I hate totals. Just to me, I hate relying on both teams to do something, one way or the other, and I think I've made that clear a lot. Minnesota and Philadelphia are not even on William Hill's radar right now. I'm wondering what they're going to come out with. They're usually the most ballsiest of lines. Westgate and William Hill have the most, what I like to call ballsiest of lines. The other ones are pretty safe, especially, MGM properties, Caesars properties, and Station properties. They relatively don't branch out. So I'd like to see what William Hill comes out with, before making an actual rubber band move on Minnesota, Philadelphia, because to me, it'll be interesting because I feel like something shaky is going to come out, like a really weird spread where they're going to try to get all the action to go to, no, something more closer to pick'em.
Pick'em?
Closer to.
I actually thought this game would be about a pick'em.
That's what I kind of handicapped it as. It's more of a pick'em. So this 3.5 is really interesting to me. So I'm going to wait to see what William Hill and Westgate come out with because they don't really have anything out just yet, according to Vegas Insider. So that'll be interesting in the next couple of days. So divisional weekend. Let's recap it. Basically, we've talked about the 4 games. What are your thoughts? I mean, we thought wild card weekend couldn't be topped. Boy, I think we're wrong.
Divisional weekend was more wild than wild card weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the beginning I was saying that nothing out of the NFC would surprise me, and I guess I was wrong about that because, I mean, these games were not what I expected whatsoever, even after really looking at it and really trying to go in depth. Love that Minnesota game at the end there. That was a lot of fun.
Good for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good for them. They've had a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah, their fans were really into it. There's another video floating around taken by one of the cameras on the sideline that is, it's no announcers, no other sounds or anything else. And as soon as he makes that catch, that place gets unbelievably loud.
I can imagine.
I mean, it may be the type of thing that registers on a Richter scale type.
Nice. Might, yeah.
Nice. That's definitely home field advantage, especially if you're going to be playing in a Super Bowl potentially.
Oh, yeah.
So
that'd be unbelievable, yeah.
Well, gents, that was fun. So let's wrap it up here with any parting thoughts on the championship weekend. Where will you be? What will you be eating while you watch? And obviously you and I are Go Pats, but what are you looking for this championship weekend? Just in case we don't have a podcast, there's potential technical difficulties going to be going on this weekend. So in case we don't have a podcast, what are you looking for this championship?
I'm looking for some tight games. I'm gonna sit back, relax, and eat some pizza, maybe some wings, and have a brewski or so, and just sit in, let it sink in. And
the question I have, though,
yeah,
are you performing at the Dunes on Thursday at 8?
I might be.
Will Frank be there?
He might make a rare appearance, yeah.
All right. Spike, what are you looking for this wild card or this championship weekend?
Well, unlike the co-host here, then I'm not going to be relaxed. I can't relax during Patriots playoffs. I refuse to watch Patriot postseason games with anybody else except my wife because she's now she knows my insanity at this point. So
then I guess the inviting you to Super Bowl party is out of the question. Then.
Yeah, well, assuming the Patriots win the game, then no, I will not be attending a Super Bowl party anywhere. I'll be watching in my house, hoping the neighbors don't call the HOA on me for numerous noise complaints from me screaming and throwing things. I've broken remotes, I've broken coffee tables. It's not a pretty picture watching games with me when the Patriots are in the Super Bowl, but
just remember, don't rip your tickets.
I can tell you that the first 3 quarters of last year's game, I got incredibly hammered, which made that 4th quarter in overtime so much more epic because I don't remember a lot of it in real time.
I remember a lot of it in real time. I was actually at work and I told my coworker, I think the Patriots can come back at this.
Did he tell you the story about the coffee?
No.
I almost laid down 1,000 on Atlanta last year before the game, and I felt coffee was more important than the line.
He had like 3 minutes to go to work before he had to go to work, and he said, "Am I going to lay the bet down or am I going to get coffee?" He decided coffee, and it was the best decision you ever made.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Best decision you ever made was to go get coffee. Go get a $7 coffee.
Man.
It was actually $4.50. Yeah.
I guess we can call it a 1,000 and $4.50 now because you still get the 1,000 in your pocket from it. Well, I mean, I'm sure you don't at this point now.
I'll tell you what,
went
though.
Out of town and blew it all on poker.
There you go.
To give Elvis some props in not this season, but last season, he made quite a substantial amount of money on the Detroit Lions, so I'll give him credit on that.
Yeah,
That's not easy to. That's not easy to do.
Wow.
Made a killing,
Hey, good for you.
He made a killing on Detroit football, which I mean, let's face it, they
This
kill.
year, not so
They
much.
kill a lot, but it's not positive net income.
Yeah, my big game last season was the Saints Lions game.
Really? All right. Hey, good for you.
Yeah.
So, all right, gents. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Vegas Squares podcast. You can catch us on all of our social media platforms. We got Twitter, we got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we're on iTunes, we have our website, which is vegassquares.com. What else am I missing? We're on
12 ounce.
We're on 12 Ounce Radio. You can catch them. Their Twitter handle is 12 Ounce 12OZ Sports. Their website is 12OZSportsRadio.com. What am I missing? We're on Instagram too. I've updated the Instagram. I've put like 2 posts in the last week, so we're active again.
Hey, there we go.
And for
You can
Spike,
always email us if you live under a rock.
if you live under a rock, email is the best way too. If you ever want to be a part of the show, we'd love to have guest hosts on through the phone or in
Talk
studio.
about any kind of sports.
Yeah,
at all,
get a hold of us.
soccer.
Vegas, whoa. Pump the brakes on soccer.
Hey, it's World Cup year.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Are they going to bring out the vuvuzelas again?
Oh, God.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Could you imagine? I hated that, listening to that fucking broadcast. Like, who is literally not breathing at this point and just blowing a vuvuzela?
Yeah, a buddy
on mute, yeah.
of mine downloaded a Vuvuzela app, so that's what he was just doing every night when we had card night at my place. He would just hit that and just let it run.
But it's annoying.
Oh, God.
But the word is cool, vuvuzela.
Yeah.
That's like Fernando Vuvuzela, the lefty for the Dodgers. I don't know challenge with. Anyways, we are out. Like he said, you can email us at vegassquares@gmail.com. For Spike, for Elvis, also known as Anthony, I am Aaron. We appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you very much.